All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and today I have the person with me that is responsible for helping to build this great studio and really get me onto and into getting this podcast up and launched. So today I want to welcome my special guest, Rene Fannan. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, Tony. It's weird being on the other side of the camera, that's for sure.
I was going to say, how does it feel being in front of the camera instead of in the control room?
It's different, that's for sure. It's I'm definitely feeling the pressure, but not too bad though, because Tony's an expert.
I got you. This is going to be fun. You know, there's so many people that I talk to, people that work here at New American with us, but also just people all around the industry and other industries that are really looking to, just get out there with video, to do more, whether it be on their social media, creating content, or YouTube, like a podcast like we're doing here. And so I just want to talk a little bit about this setup, kind of what we have going on with this particular studio. And then we're going to back up and we're going to talk a little bit about your background. But I think people want to know because, you see some people that put out some really good content and they really just use their iPhone, and that can look pretty good. But I do feel like when you have a real professional setup, it can improve things. So maybe just walk through a little bit. We don't have like the behind the scenes camera, but just give people an idea, generally speaking, of what the setup is, the technology that we use, and kind of what sets this apart from just doing a simple selfie video that someone might do.
Yeah, so I feel like in today's society, especially like with YouTube and everything, everybody thinks I can just point and shoot an iPhone camera and that's good enough. Where it is really good to get something out to a client, I feel like having the full setup of the cameras, it really ups it a little bit to where you just look more professional. Yeah. We currently use Blackmagic 4K cameras. We have got 3 set up, of course. I'm sure you can tell by the recording.
Well, some people don't know. They're just like, the image changes and the angles change, and they don't know. So three cameras, right?
Yeah, 3 cameras. So they all consecutively go at once, and then we use a switcher to switch between the different camera angles, kind of similar to what you would see on like Cairo TV, any news channel really. They all use live switchers, live audio recording. So that's kind of the rundown of what we use. If you really want to know, come to our studio. But
yeah. Hey, we do studio tours, so feel free to come. Well, I got to say, before I kind of got into this, I had no idea. There's lighting involved. And this stuff isn't cheap. Like I said, there's definitely less expensive ways to get into producing video. We were really fortunate to come across Rene. Really, we hired her for a completely different position. We're going to talk about that in a second. But to finalize on the video, if you guys want information about our studio setup, I'm more than happy to put together kind of a list. I think we have a list. We've done a couple of these studios now. The cameras that we use, the lighting package that we use. Obviously, we use a TV behind us. We've had issues with glare, so we have like anti-glare reflective on there. There's also a TV in front of us, so we can see the feed from each of the cameras. I can see, how long the recording is. We can make sure that the audio is flowing well, and then of course, we've invested in really good audio equipment. One of the things I hear from people all the time is, man, your audio sounds amazing on your videos, because everyone focuses on the video and they forget how important the audio is. And especially today, if you're listening to a podcast, and a lot of people, myself included, I use YouTube essentially as a podcast. I turn something on, I might lock it, put it in my pocket. I have YouTube Premium, and I just listen to it. And if there's not great audio, I'm not really interested in listening.
I had the same problem yesterday. I was trying to listen to a podcast on Spotify, and it was interesting. It was actually like a psychology one because I was just curious. I was like, I'm going to dabble in this. And the audio was so terrible, I turned it off after like a minute because I was like, I can't. Maybe I'm just used to how spoiled we are with the nice mics, but boy, if your audio is not on point, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and one last thing about our setup is actually the control room is in the room next door. So we're not even in the same room. There's also a monitor, over there so that they can monitor the screens. The switcher is there to switch between which feed is being picked up. And what's really nice about that is we don't have to record all 3 videos and then splice it all together. You can literally change during the conversation and then basically come out with a pretty well edited version, because you're switching as you go, and then it's really easy because it captures everything to make those post-production edits as well. And then we do minor touch-up things, that we might do some editing depending on our guest. I'm sure Renee's here. If there's anything she doesn't like about what she says, she can just edit that out. But we do a little bit of post editing on this, but not really. Mostly we just let the cameras roll, and it's been really fun. We've been able to use this studio. Obviously, for those of you who watch Market Shares, that I record the podcast here. But for us, we've had a lot of people, a lot of our employees enjoy the benefits of that. We've had guests in that have used our studio as well to help them create content, and you're there to kind of help curate that and put reels together. Let's talk about that strategy a little bit as well, because a lot of people who might watch this on YouTube, it's not a lot, there's a few of you watching this on YouTube, but we do have thousands of people who watch our reels all around different social media streams, and that was really one of the strategies. So maybe talk a little bit about how you take this content and then repurpose that in other ways.
Yeah, so the key thing is usually we'll film like a 20-minute episode. It doesn't have to necessarily be a podcast. It can just be a little Q&A session with a real estate agent or something to just kind of talk about the market. And then from there, I usually will split it up into 1-minute segments. I kind of listen through the entire episode that we film, and then I find just 1-minute little nuggets. If it goes a little over a minute, I know I can kind of chop it down just to keep it in that 60-second range. And then, from there, we pretty much just take the shot. I usually try to do the angle like this one right here on the actual person talking, and then kind of add some transitions, add some font, something that makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. The importance of the 1-minute segments is that millennials like myself, I'm like that borderline, I'm 26, so I'm like borderline, I'm a millennial, but almost a Gen Z, but I don't want to say I'm a Gen Z. But basically, we've got, I call squirrel brain. So we basically just need 1-minute content. Tell me the facts. That's all I need to know. Right. We don't want to listen through 15 minutes of content where it's really good. When you're in the car and you're just chilling, it's nice to have an audiobook or a podcast. I know I tend to listen to that because I listen to the same music, so it kind of gets redundant.
Definitely.
But the 1 minute is really important to get out there. I also think social media is so important nowadays because, say I want a loan officer, I know I would Facebook stalk them and I would Instagram stalk them because I just want to learn about them. So it's really important to get that presence out there.
Yeah, well, it's different today than ever before. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, and everyone I met was out in the field, go out in the field, make a sales call. And I still think that's extremely relevant in today's world. But I think that you want to preempt the live visit with a social media presence. People know who you are really before they meet you. And to your point, once you do meet someone, you might want to go research them, and hopefully you find something, because if you're that ghost of a person who doesn't exist anymore on the internet, I think it really reduces your credibility in today's market. Like, it's just like not having any reviews. Like, if you have no reviews or even a product, like I was looking at some products on Amazon, and man, if you don't think reviews matter, they certainly do. And I think video content kind of does the same thing. It builds some credibility that you're consistent, you're out there, people get to know you even before they meet you. And so, yeah, that's really cool. The other thing that I've loved about this and the short content is that we can take and have a casual conversation, just two people having a conversation. You're, from what I would say, not the most comfortable on camera, right?
No, I'm not. Is it that obvious?
Right. Well, no, it wasn't obvious until I said it. And that's kind of my point, is that, you can bring someone into the studio and just have a casual conversation. I've done thousands of hours in front of a camera or on stage. And so I'm super comfortable with the format. And if I can just calmly have a conversation with someone who I might have a conversation with in the hallway just as much as we can have a conversation here, but then we can capture that and we can help people create content who otherwise wouldn't create content. Because one of the most difficult things, in my opinion, is sit down, look at a camera, and record like a 1-minute segment. Like, I'm just going to be very concise, and I'm going to come up with a 1-minute message that's going to really resonate with everybody. Like, that's not the easiest thing to do. But when I can embed it inside of a conversation, and you can curate that moment for them, they just said it in conversation. We say brilliant things all the time, believe it or not. But what Rene can do is find those, pull them out, and then create some short format video that makes you look good on social media. It's really a cool process.
It really is. And I feel like Instagram nowadays is making it so easy to make reels. Like, you can literally just upload it from your phone after the video shoot and everything's sent. I usually sent it through like Google Drive or something easy for agents. And then you can add subtitles, you can add stickers, you can add your own music if you want to add your own music. I know I tend to do those for some of yours as well.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a very user-friendly platform that people can, you can repurpose it. You can even save the reel that you made from Instagram and repurpose it on Facebook, repurpose it on TikTok,
Right.
You've got options.
Well, and yeah, and we're doing that, right? I mean, our content's going on Facebook,
Yeah.
It's going on LinkedIn. I think one thing I heard in watching a Gary Vee video the other day was Facebook business pages are now back. Maybe we need to be sharing some more content there. They seem to be getting promoted in people's feeds again. So, it's ever changing and you have to stay on top of it. But either way, video is here to stay. And matter of fact, every social media platform is growing the amount of video content that they support. So, and it's only getting easier to do. Well, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about how this all came to be, because you joined us, you applied for a marketing coordinator role and really just came in to help this particular branch with marketing, but then that evolved over time once you were found out and we figured out that you got some background in photography and videography and whatnot. So maybe share with us a little bit about your background and then that journey.
Yeah, so back when I was 18 years old, in high school, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I don't know. So I always found media and video to be very interesting. I took a media class in high school, and I was like, oh, this is really fun. I kind of want to dabble into this for a career. Maybe that'd be fun. So, I did what everybody did after high school, got my 2-year degree in digital media, so I knew the basics of photography, videography, video editing, and animation. And I found it to be so fun, and I was so passionate about it. But, as everybody does after college, you don't really work in the industry until like 5 years later. So, you're working those retail jobs, receptionist jobs. My last job, actually, I was a receptionist at a mortgage company. So that kind of helped me when I was doing my job search to move up to Everett, because I used to be from the Pierce County area. I found the marketing job, and I was like, oh, that's like everything I went to school for. Now that would be cool. And so I applied, I met Rob, and then it's all history from there. It's a funny thing, I actually started the day everything shut down during COVID, so that was interesting to come into an empty office on my first day of work. I'm like, where is everybody? But so pretty much when I started, a lot of loan officers weren't on social media, and I was like, well, here's step one of starting this new job. Let's get everybody on social media who feels comfortable being on social media, because I know not everybody, it's not for everybody, but it is what it is.
It should be for everybody.
It should be, but anyways, we got a lot of people growing. We had a basic video camera lying around here, and I was like, well, I have video background. Why don't we do some videos? And it was just a basic standard, like, little camcorder that we had.
Oh, right.
Yeah, with the green screen that we used to have in here. And I used to film like tips with Taylor, and we did like a Friday video. We did a couple email campaigns for Andrew Steiger, and it kind of grew from there. And then I know last year in October, you approached me with this job opportunity, which I was like, woo, it's happening. I remember calling my husband that night being like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what's going to happen. I think I'm getting promoted. I'm so excited. But I have all thanks to Addie Net on that part, because when he joined, he really opened us up to building a studio, doing videos, creating reels. And so he was kind of my mentor here in teaching me how to build all of this, because I have the knowledge of doing it, but I was like, I've never physically done this before. So it was nice to have somebody to lean on to go, okay, yeah, this is a really good equipment you should get. You know, here's a bunch of links, and, you know, here's kind of a step-by-step how I built mine. And so, and then, you know, we trained Cheryl Dunlap down there to run everything in Lake Oswego for the Oregon loan officers. So it's crazy over the past year how much it's grown, just from, you know, me just point and shooting around the office to me point and shooting around the entire state of Washington. Yeah.
Well, you know, I think it goes back to anything. It's about intention, right? I mean, we had intention. You had intention to grow the social media because your job was marketing. You know, I really had intention to, you know, say, hey, let's pour fuel to that, right? Let's invest more in that. And then, of course, Addie coming on board. If you don't know Addie Net, first of all, you're crazy. But second of all, he was my first guest. So you can go back to episode 1 of Market Shares, and there you will find Addie Net, who was the inspiration. That's why he was our first guest. He's the one who really kicked me in the behind and said, you got to get this podcast thing up and going. And so I'm grateful for him for doing that. You know, that's a great story. You know, this is, I think, a great reminder for anybody, you know, especially young people getting out of school. You know, you got your background in video and photography and editing and all that, but you took jobs that you needed to take, you know. Not everyone's going to fall into their dream job immediately, but then you were able to take a job that really had not a lot to do technically at the time with your passion and grow into a role that fits perfectly with what, you know, you were hoping to do. So I love seeing that happen. I love being a part of that journey for you. And for us, it's providing a whole lot of value to our loan officers and really the real estate community at whole. We have a lot of people now. We have 3 studios built. We'll probably work on a 4th one here just in our region. And it allows a lot of people access to a setup like this that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. And really the understanding of, you know, not just professional photography and capturing great audio, but then the whole, you know, putting together of the content in a way that can be used in the marketplace. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people shoot video and never do anything with it, you know? So it takes both, right? You have to create the content, and then you have to actually distribute it and do it in a way that's meaningful. You got to mix things up. You got to see what's working. When it's not working that good, you got to tweak it. And anyway, but it's been a really fun process. Thanks for coming on the show today and sharing a little bit about, you know, what we're doing.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I think it's important to be sharing these kinds of things with your audience because, you know, everybody can watch Market Shares and be like, gosh, it looks so good. I wonder, like, is that just Tony, you know, running everything, or does he have like a whole department?
Yeah.
What I think is really unique about New American Funding is that we have the ability to do this, of course, because we're, you know, a smaller but big company. It's the best way to describe us.
It's hard to explain to people how small this company feels, but yeah, we're a big company.
It feels like I work for a mom and pop, but I don't.
Yeah.
But so what's really cool is, you know, we have the video department and we have marketing. So if you shoot a video and then you're like, I don't know what to do with this, that's where the marketing kind of kicks in, and that department can help people post. You can look at the content and say, hey, actually, I like this little segment here. Maybe we could make a reel out of it. Let's talk to Rene, or whatever. I mean, there's the one thing I've seen is that people aren't sure how to post it. So that's where it's nice to have people like me and other people around here who have the expertise that can help loan officers post.
I wouldn't get anything posted if I didn't have the help of you and everybody else. So I assure you, it's not just the Tony Show. There's definitely a lot of help and support. I do write the content. I usually write it about 8 seconds before we go live on camera.
It's one take Tony.
I'm kind of joking, but kind of serious. Look, these are, you know, I talk about topics that I'm passionate about on this episode. I'm passionate about what we're doing here and this conversation, so it comes off very natural because this is fun stuff. This is part of our life, and this is what we're doing, and this is how we're helping loan officers transition from an old school way of doing this industry to a modern day of doing this. And video content creation and distribution is just one piece of being the modern mortgage or real estate professional. So I hope this episode was helpful and gave you a little bit of peek into what we're doing. Maybe one day we'll do a complete behind the scenes tour of everything that we got set up here. But Rene, thanks for taking your time jumping in on this episode. And for those of you watching, I hope that by now you've subscribed and shared this with another coworker or someone else you know if you're getting value out of this content. If not, do that now. And then check us out next Friday because we drop new episodes every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you to Rene for being here and for helping us get all this set up and create this wonderfulness. And for those of you watching, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.